Welcome to Baker Forward. I'm Baker Police Chief Mike Snapper Naps, your host for tonight's show. Really excited to bring you some good news tonight. We're going to be watching some clips from the Park Ridge DARE graduation. I know recently in the news you guys have been seeing that we had a little issue with a former DARE officer. I just want to assure you that our DARE program is sound, solid, moving forward and strong as ever. We have a new officer that has been hired over the summer. His name is Willie Brooks. He's a veteran DARE officer, and he's really doing great works in the schools. So I wanted to let you be assured of that. Of course, I won't be going into the particulars of what led to the issue because that is an ongoing investigation. We've really had some good things happen in Baker this year. Our school system seems to be moving in the right direction. They're gaining points on their scores. No, they're not exactly where we want them to be, but we're very proud of their effort and the way they're trying to move forward. And the DARE program, we think, is a great contributor to what they're doing. It sets a precedence for the children in making choices and how they'll move forward in life. We teach them about the effects of drugs and alcohol and tobacco, but they learn a lot of other very important things also. They're going to learn about decision making, how to decide what to do in every situation, whether it's grandmother telling them about taking a cookie out the cookie jar, or if it's cheating on a test or studying for a test and doing it right, whether they would be going to a ball game or a birthday party that happened to be at the same time. This decision-making model helps these young people to understand how to, one, to define what the issue is, to A, to assess the problem, to R, to respond to that problem, and then E, to evaluate it. And that's what we should all do. Find out what it is, weigh the consequences, whether they're positive or negative, see which one has the greater risk of positive, and then take that risk, take the positive risk. And always after you respond, remember to evaluate. If we evaluate each one of our decisions, we're going to continue to move a lot better and more forward in our life and in our way, in the way we serve our families and the way we serve our communities. Today I'm going to be speaking with the Park Ridge DARE graduates. It's a pretty person-to-person speech, so hopefully you guys will enjoy what's shared with the kids, and I really look forward to doing it again with you real soon. Everybody have a blessed day and enjoy the DARE graduation.
Promoting your business in these competitive times can be tough. You need to use everything possible to stand out in the crowd. Your vehicle is an asset most companies overlook when advertising. Now you can promote just like major companies by wrapping your vehicle with eye-catching graphics. Frogskin Graphics wraps boats, cars, trucks, and buildings. No job too large or small. Full-color banners, window graphics, and signs designed, printed, and installed by professionals. 683-9595.
Going to have some words of encouragement from our guest speaker today. The Chief of Police, Chief Mike Snapper Naps, is going to come now.
I've been involved with DARE since 1991. Police department, been there for 32 years, so I've grown up there. It's always a pleasure to get to come back home. When these doors opened right down the hall in 1967, there was a little red-headed, freckle-faced boy that was 8 years old that reported to the 3rd grade. That was me. So yes, I went to elementary school right here at Park Ridge Elementary. I remember the 3rd door on the right was my 3rd grade. First door on the left was 4th grade. Last door on the left was 5th grade, and directly across the hall I went to the 6th grade because we didn't have kindergarten then, you went 1st through 6th. And then I walked across the street like you guys will do next year, went to junior high, and then went down the street to Baker High School. Still live here today. Baker's a great place, and you get well educated here. The key is paying attention and doing you're supposed to do. And apparently you guys are pretty good at that because you've made it to the magnet level. So kudos to you for that. That's right, that deserves a clap. The DARE program is such an awesome opportunity for you young people. I hope you realize that we didn't have that opportunity. It didn't come along until 1991 in this area. Park Ridge was the first school to graduate from the DARE program in East Baton Rouge Parish. You guys were about the third school in the state of Louisiana to graduate. So Park Ridge was one of the seed schools in the very beginning. Yeah, it was looked at as a very upper school in East Baton Rouge Parish. So as it is today, it was then. So it's really important to know that you come from a really good seeded, rooted tree right here at Park Ridge. It has some good foundation, and that foundation will be shared for you. The DARE program also gives you a solid foundation. What you need to understand, young people, is once you have knowledge of something, you're now accountable for being responsible with that knowledge. What that means is you now know the dangers of drugs. If you use them, what's going to happen? So if you choose to use them, you will have consequences, and those consequences will never be good. Even if someone tells you, oh, you can try it once, it won't hurt you. Some of the parents and grandparents will remember this story. It happened back in the 1980s. Well, no, it was in the 90s, excuse me, 1990s. There was a basketball player that came out of the University of Maryland. He was the #1 player in the country. His name was Lenny Bias. Lenny got drafted by the Boston Celtics, first pick in the NBA draft. Some of his college buddies said, let's go celebrate. And he did. They convinced Lenny to try cocaine. He had never done drugs, had alcohol, anything, never even one time. It's a true celebration, man. You're going to the greatest league of all. You're the #1 guy. You're a multi-millionaire. Let's go celebrate. And Lenny sniffed cocaine, and his heart exploded, and he died. One of the greatest athletes in the world. He died. He never got to put the uniform on. Never received his first big paycheck. His friends, and I use that word very carefully, his friends convinced him to do something that he knew was wrong, but in not wanting to disappoint his friends, he let them make a choice for them that didn't just cost him basketball, it didn't give him a broken leg, it killed him, he died, his heart exploded. One time, very first try. I encourage you to never cross that line and take that first try. It impairs you tremendously. It starts with cigarette smoking. Cigarette smoking is a gateway drug. What a gateway drug means is it leads you to other things. In the old farm days, and if your grandparents still have land in the country, ask them about the gateway. They'll tell you that that's how they separate the areas. Like they'll have the cows in one area, and then they eat the grass, and they open the gateway, and they let them go to the next, where the grass has grown back up, and the cattle eat some more, and then they work their way down, and then they come back to that other field again because it's fresh with grass again. It's called gateway. Well, cigarettes are a gateway to marijuana, and then marijuana is actually cigarettes are a gateway to alcohol, and then marijuana, and then the heavier drugs such as cocaine and other usages. It's really a startling fact that 87% of people who smoke will drink. 60% of those will use marijuana, and 50% of that 60% will go on to something heavier. So the odds are that if you choose not to smoke, that you're going to choose not to do those other things also. And I promise you, when they tell you alcohol will destroy every organ in your body, it's a fact. It will happen. I know someone who smoked for 54 years and drank for 40 years. And I had the displeasure of watching that person die from liver disease, lung disease, and heart disease. every major organ were affected, and they all shut down, and he died. That was my dad. He's buried right over here in the cemetery. It's a tough thing, but it's true. What the book has taught you, and Darren, what Officer Brooks has taught you about these effects are true. It's not a myth. It's not a maybe. It's facts. And when you see the word fact about something, that means that it is knowledge-based, that they have something that says, yes, this did happen. That's why it's called a fact. So whenever you look through your book and your teacher talks about facts, that means they have to be true, and they have to have been tested to know that they're true, that they're exactly the right answer. That's why they're called facts. There are things like guesstimates and estimates, but facts are facts. I just challenge you young people to know the difference between right and wrong. And you will know that because you got this little thing inside of you here. It exists in every one of us. It's called a conscience. It's not the little guy that sits on your shoulder that you see in the car commercial that tells him he's singing and he's all happy because he's picked the right car, or the one that you saw the commercial where you got the devil sitting on one shoulder and the angel on the other. You really do have a conscience. And what happens is when you do something you're not supposed to do, you get that feeling. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody gets it. Grandma says no cookies until after supper, and she slips out and you go to that cookie jar and you get that little feeling, oh, I'm not supposed to do that. Or you're sitting in class and you watch TV instead of studying, and you're having a test and you really want that answer and you don't have it, and you might think about looking a little bit and you get that feeling that says I'm doing something wrong. Mom said don't ride your bike today after school, and you came home and she was at work and you decided that you were going to ride it, and right as you're going to get on it, you get that little feeling right here that says I'm doing something wrong. You'll have that for the rest of your life if you honor it. But if you don't, if you choose not to recognize it, it will go away. And when that goes away, you begin a life that is going to be very miserable for you and everyone around you. You have that DARE decision-making model. It has taught you everything you need to know about how to make a decision. Once you know how to make a decision, it's easy. But you know what you have to do? Don't shortcut yourself whenever you're breaking it down. When you start doing the access, when you're assessing that, and you're looking at it, and you're deciding what's good and what's bad, don't shortcut yourself there. Think long through what's going to happen. And before you go to that R and you make that response and you choose, know that you have done a very good assessment of what could happen. And if you do that, I'll guarantee you that 90% of the time, 9 out of 10, you're going to get it right. You're going to get it right. Sometimes your mind is going to tell you to lean toward what you want to do, but it's not what you want to do that's always the right thing. It's what you ought to do. What you ought to do is the right thing. And it's normally going to be a little harder. To live life right and to make good choices is much harder than to not make good choices and live life in a less respectful way. You see, the choices you make in life, I believe this. I believe that all the choices that you make in life, you have this invisible suitcase that you carry around that follows you. You don't even have to pick it up, it follows you around. And every decision that you make, there are consequences for it. All those decisions go in that box. And one day, you're going to be accountable for all of the things that you have chosen. One day, you're going to be accountable. So at that time, I believe your suitcase is going to be opened up and laid out for you, like a slideshow almost. You're going to have to explain some things, and some things are going to be explained to you, some things that you maybe thought were right, and you made that wrong choice. You're going to be exposed to you, and you'll know. So what you want to do is fill that suitcase with a bunch of positive things. It's absolutely impossible for any one of us that walks on this earth to have the suitcase perfectly full of good choices. going to happen. It's not going to happen. But just as Ms. Golden said when she spoke, if you're not trying, you're not learning. That's where mistakes come.
Greater Baton Rouge Medical Office Building at Howell Place is conveniently located near the Baton Rouge Airport, offering medical services for all ages, lifestyles, and diagnosis. Greater Baton Rouge Medical Office Building offers a wide range of physicians to service your needs, from visual changes to upper and lower extremity orthopedic problems, back and neck injuries, and pain management. After consultation with your physician, there is an on-site physical therapy clinic to get you back to work or to your recreational pastime. If mobility is a problem, a home health office is on the premises to accept referrals. This modern medical marketplace has convenient parking and is designed for complete personal and family health care. Greater Baton Rouge Medical Office Building at Howell Place is recognized for high-quality care and wants to be your choice for all of your family's health care needs.
Mistakes. That's what classifies it as a mistake. When you make that wrong choice and you correct it and you don't do it again, that's growing. But when you multiply it, when you continue to make that mistake, I believe the second time it's no longer a mistake, it's a choice. And I promise you, what you choose will be with you. Be careful how you carry on at this age. There's some people sitting in these Dare shirts right here that will own businesses and be leaders and be managers. I never would have thought that sitting in these same auditorium, different chairs, but this same auditorium, that one day I would stand on the same stage that I played on and be the chief of police. Absolutely no way. Neither would any of my teachers, Ms. Golden, Ms. Walker. None of them would have thought that either. A little ADHD, but we got through it. Mr. DeBessnet had a special medicine like that door right there. I think it was pecan, I'm not sure. I know it had 18 holes in it because I could count them when I got home. Makes a pretty little service. I got paddled a few times is what I'm trying to say. I remember my first one. I came in from recess through those doors with my shirt untucked. And Mr. D called me down and he said, "Naps, come on down, come to my office." And he held the students up in the hall while he stepped out and gave them 3 quick ones. And he said, "Young people, Naps has his shirt untucked. Is his shirt supposed to be untucked?" And all you could hear down the hall was, "No, sir!" And guess how many more times my shirt was untucked? 0. None. But you know why he did that? Because he knew, Ms. Golden, if he set the bar low for expectation, we would have low results. So he set that bar high. And when you think these principals and teachers are asking a lot of you, go for it. Try to even go higher than the bar that they have set for you. Never settle than less. Always have something on that shelf that's a little greater. Because just like me, you don't know where you're going to end up. And you may be the boss one day. And the people that cut up in class and do things that are not of a positive manner, when you're looking for employees, are those going to be the people that you hire in your business? No way. You don't want somebody that's going to clown around and cut up and mess with people and bully and those kind of things. You don't want somebody that's lazy. You want somebody that you know you can count on that's going to show up and do their job every day in a professional, proactive, positive way. That's what you want. And those are going to be the people. So guess where they start seeing you? Right here. People start seeing you right here. One thing you will find out, if you ask anybody that's been in this city since I've been here, they will tell you Mike Knaps is a kind person. He loves everyone the same. He has no barriers in his life, whether they're male, female, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever it may be, no barriers. I look at people. I don't look at anything else. I look at what's in here. I don't look at anything else. I've always been that way. God gave me a gift at a very young age to be able to see through a lot of things. Yes, I was frowned upon pretty heavily by a lot of folks for that. Because you see, I came up at a different time than you did. And people looked at me and my brother a little differently than they looked at the other kids. But God has blessed us so much. I was telling the class yesterday, and my brother went to Park Ridge right here too. He's a singer. You know, I don't know if y'all have ever had the opportunity to sing, but he's the guy that sings the specials out on the Swagger Show on Sunday. And he sings all over the world. He's got quadruple platinums hanging on his wall, and he's a Christian singer now. But he sang in the secular world for a long time. He was the lead singer for the band LaRue for about 25, 27 years, something like that. He did the soundtrack for the Dirty Dancing movie. He's been around the world 3 times on the USO tour. All of that to say that he made good choices. And it started right here at Park Ridge Elementary. Look at me, look at the things I've got to do. I am so blessed. I have 2 beautiful daughters that are both married and have selected great men of God in their lives, and they're doing well. I have 5 granddaughters. 4 of them were playing in my bed when I left this morning. And they are awesome. They're fixing to move to Arkansas. The 5th one is at home with mom because she's still attached, ladies. You know what I mean? She's only 6 months old, so she's still attached to mom. She can't come spend the night. What a blessing. All of this to say, how do these things happen? From making what? Making what, boys and girls? Good choices. By making good choices. So I challenge you. You know, a good mechanic. Have you ever watched NASCAR on TV? And y'all ever watch the races? And when those cars come in the pit, and sometimes see the commercials, and those guys jump over that wall and get them tires off, and do all these things in about 15 seconds, and shoo, that car takes off. You've seen it. You know why they can do that? They have the right tools. Just think if that car came in, they had to open up the trunk, get that spare tire out from the bottom, take all the stuff out the trunk to get the jack out, go to the hood, get the other part. That wouldn't be a very exciting pit stop, would it? That's not having the proper tools to do that level of a job. Well, guess what? You have all the proper tools to make great decisions in life. And I challenge you to do that, you know, but it's going to take some help. And this is how I get my help. I told the kids yesterday. Every morning when my eyes open up, as soon as they get clear and the fog clears away, the very first thing I do is I thank the Lord for this day. And then immediately following that, I just ask for a few special things. I ask the Lord every day to lead, guide, and direct my footsteps, where I go, my words, what I say, and my thoughts that I think. I asked him to guide those, and I asked him to give me wisdom, because that's that little thing in here that gives you the signals of what's right or wrong. I asked for that wisdom. And then I asked for the strength and the courage to use it. And as being a human in flesh, I asked for, when I fall short, that he would grant me mercy and grace. And then at the end of the day, the very last thing I do before I close my eyes and I roll my head down to go to sleep is I thank the Lord for the day, regardless of what happened in it. I thank him for it. And then I ask him one more question. Lord, please help me to get a good night's sleep so I can wake up renewed, refreshed, and ready to go on the next day. And you know what? I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to do your best to think before you react. If you can just take a few seconds before you react, you're going to do a lot better. Now that might not work at PE when you're playing dodgeball. You know you can't think before you react. You just got to get out the way. But in decision making, please take time to think before you react. It's an honor to get to come back to Park Ridge, Ms. Golden, and it's an honor to speak before you today, graduates. On behalf of myself, the Baker Police Department, the City of Baker, and all the folks that live in it, we're very proud of you, and congratulations, and thank you for the opportunity for letting me be here this morning.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that rather lengthy talk to the kids, but you know it's important that we let them know that we care, and that's why I go to those DARE graduations as the Chief of Police, to let them know that they can get there from where they're at. And always a pleasure to be with you guys here on Baker Forward. And you know, I really look forward to seeing you soon in my next segment, and we hope that you'll join us all on next Thursday night for Baker Forward for our next show. God bless.